Oh, well, hi everyone, and welcome to Behind Your Eyes, season 7. And in this fourth episode, Lena is my guest. So, hi, Lena, if you would like to introduce yourself to us.
Yeah, sure. Hi, thanks for having me first. Well, yeah, I'm Lene. I'm from Germany originally. I live in the UK now. I'm in Wales. And I moved here in the pandemic. In the height, yeah, in the first summer of the pandemic in August 2020.
Mhm.
Just to do something else because I felt a little bit stuck when we went into lockdown first, and I was very lonely for the first half year of it. And I thought I'd just try to do something else. I was not planning to stay here at all. I wanted to go for a year and then go back home and move
Mhm.
to closer to my family. Um, but I found another family here and just started, yeah, just stayed.
Mhm. Yeah, you grew roots there.
Yeah, definitely.
Mhm. Well, I would love to know a bit more about like your background in mental health and how your mental health
Absolutely.
journey was. So, yeah, please.
So I've always kind of been, oh, I don't even know where to start. So my whole life I was a little bit like, I felt like life was a little bit boring. Does that make
Mhm.
sense? I felt like, I went to work, um, I went back home, I went to bed, and then I did the same thing again next day.
Mhm.
I was quite good at school. I just was a bit bored of it. That's why I finished school, but then I didn't do A levels. I didn't study anything. I just went straight into an apprenticeship as an interior decorator. So I did that for several years. Just because I felt like I needed to move. I wanted to do something and
Mhm.
not sit at a desk anymore. But yeah, I've always been with someone pretty much because I've got together with my first boyfriend when I was 14 and we stayed
Mhm.
together until I was 20. And you can imagine in those 6 years, that's the time where you go from teenager kind of figuring
Mhm.
out who you are into becoming an adult, even though I still don't
Yeah.
feel like I'm an adult, to be honest. But I feel like a lot of people would say that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I've always been with someone else. So I actually never really found out who am I, who's
Mhm.
Lena, and what does she like to do. So yeah, I've been living a lot like on expectations of what people just usually do, the normal thing, you
Right.
do an apprenticeship, go to work, and that's it. And yeah, I never really realized who I am, and eventually at some point that backfired a little bit because in 2018 I was 24, I think, at that point. um I had a really massive eczema outbreak. So my whole body, my face, my neck, and my
Mhm.
arms, everything was, yeah, breaking out with my eczema, which I've always had a little bit on my arms and stuff when I've eaten the wrong thing or something, but that was
Mhm.
different. Um, and for more than half a year, I didn't know what to do. I didn't sleep because it was constantly, I was in pain. Like it wasn't just eczema, it was so sore that like most of my skin was bleeding constantly, so I
Mhm.
couldn't really move my neck. Every shower was hurting because obviously the warm water. Um, so yeah, I couldn't really sleep. So I woke up every 15-20 minutes in
Oh,
the night. Yeah, it wasn't great.
yeah.
At this point, I also was with someone, and then it got so bad. I think it was in 2019, beginning of 2019, that I decided I need to do something, and I put myself into a skin clinic for six
Mhm.
weeks. There's only two skin clinics in Germany that work without steroids, and
Yeah.
they were holistic. So I actually got a space there, which was quite hard, but I managed because I
Mhm.
like, guys, I don't know what to do, please. And I sent pictures and they were like, yes, you can come. And I was
Mhm.
like, well, thank God, because I really
Yeah.
didn't know what else to do.
Yeah.
Um, because normal doctors would just give me steroid creams and then it goes better for a day and then it just comes
Yeah.
back because steroid creams don't do it. It doesn't work. It's not
Yeah.
solving the actual problem. It's
Just a
only telling
temporary solution. Yeah.
exactly. It just changes the symptoms or,
Yeah.
you know. So I got into that clinic, which for the first that was after half a year of suffering, and so I didn't sleep. really. I struggled a lot, and also I didn't really like being around people anymore, because you can imagine I felt like I looked like a monster, because my face, my neck, so everything that people see first off. So the first impression was always people going, "Oh,
Oh,
she's
oh,
suffering,"
yeah.
you
You
know,
become so self-conscious, of course.
totally. And I was really anxious to just get into a group of people, or even just going out. For I didn't like taking the bus and stuff like that anymore, because I was like, other people have to sit next to me and they don't know what I've got, so they might think it's something horrible. So it was just really uncomfortable. Um, and then I got into that clinic, I think a week before my birthday, actually. And everyone there had the same problem. Obviously not to an extent as I have. Some people had other skin problems, but I knew that everyone there had a problem with their skin, and it made me feel really calm, because I was like, they know what it feels like to
Yeah.
be really uncomfortable in your own skin. So that took a lot
Like
of,
literally uncomfortable in your own
yeah,
skin. Yeah.
literally, yeah, that took a lot of pressure off me, because I felt like, well, they're not going to judge me. They know I'm here because of my skin, so they're not going to wonder, ew, what's that? So that was really nice, actually, to feel like I'm around people who understand what I'm going through. And it was also the first time that I was by myself for 6 weeks. So when I got there, obviously I said bye to my boyfriend. He went back home, and I was like, what am I doing here? It's just me. Oh my God. So yeah, I was really alone for the first time. Um, and I was dreading it a little bit, I'm not gonna lie, because I didn't really know, I've never really
Yeah.
spent a lot of time on my own, because even though I had different boyfriends, but there was always like quite a short time in between. So like obviously I had a couple of months here and there where I was on my own, but it was, work and all of that normal
Yeah.
everyday life stuff
Yeah.
was going on. And now I was just there, and I was like, well,
Yeah. Me, myself, and I.
yeah, what do I do now? Concentrate on my skin, healing my body, but yeah, how do I do that? What do I do all day? Because obviously I had like tests and stuff from the doctors and all of that stuff. They took a lot of blood tests and all of that. They found out a few nutrients that I was missing, so we were filling that up. They put me on an elimination diet, so I was pretty much eating only potatoes for a week, which was
Yeah.
a lot. And I was so worried that they were going to put me off potatoes. They didn't. Fortunately, that didn't, because I still love them. But I was really worried about that. But yeah, it was just figuring out what my body needed, what was wrong with it. And there were a lot of tests and all of that stuff going on. But also there was a psychiatrist kind of, like mental health direction, which I was new to, because I've always been fine. But yeah, I was like, why not give it a
Yeah.
go and have a chat. So I joined. So I had an initial chat with the psychologist or psychiatrist, and that was all right. We didn't really connect, so I was like, that's kind of not. I'm not feeling it. I don't really want that. It didn't really feel right. So
Yeah.
I paused that for a bit, but then joined into the mindfulness sessions. So the first session that I joined was an autogenic training session, which is basically, it's got a lot to do with your muscles and how you pay attention to your muscles. So we were just lying on the back. It's a little bit like a meditation, mindfulness exercise. So she was telling us to make a fist and like tense our muscles in our arm, and then let go, and then pay attention to how it feels in your body. So basically just a relaxation session. And I remember, I think I only remember one of my arm, like doing that with one of my arms, and then I fell asleep.
That's proper relaxation.
It really was, and that was the point when I woke up. So she had to wake me up after 45 minutes, and I was like, lovely, it's time to wake up. And I was like, how long did I sleep? Like, what happened? And she was like, well, you slept for the whole session, 45, 50 minutes. And I was mind blown, because to that point I hadn't slept more than 15 minutes at a time, because I was in pain constantly. So that I think that's the point where the penny dropped, and I was like, I felt like I'm in charge. I can decide if I'm sleeping or not. I was like, oh my God, I can choose, or I can do something to be relaxed, and I can do something for my own body.
Yeah, your sense of control back, I think.
Absolutely. I felt like I was back in control, and I got out of this um victim feeling, like, oh, life is
Yeah,
happening to me, this is happening
yeah,
to me, I have no chance, I can't do anything about it. And then
yeah.
I suddenly felt like I can do something about it, which was
Mm.
amazing.
That's so empowering. Yeah.
It really was. And yeah, so I was there for 6 weeks. I joined into all of the all of the mindfulness sessions.
Mm.
Loved it, and I really got into it then, at this point in the clinic.
Mm.
And I started reflecting a lot, because obviously I had so much time for myself.
Mm.
I had my journal with me, so I was just writing all day what things that came up in the sessions and what I was going through. And especially because I had so much time, well, I didn't have to do anything, so no one was expecting anything of me. So I just had so much time to naturally let my body come up with the thoughts without forcing anything. And I went for a lot of walks, and did some yoga and stuff like that. So I had a lot of time to just be there and allow my mind to debrief by itself without trying to force it, which was amazing. And it was really then when I got into the mindfulness exercises. And then as a result of the clinic stay, in the end, I eventually broke up with my boyfriend,
Mm.
because I realized that I've not been, because I didn't know who I was. I didn't know how to communicate what I needed, because I wasn't really sure what I needed. So,
Mm.
not blaming him at all, or myself really. I was just not in the right place to be with someone, because I actually didn't
Yeah.
know who I was. So, broke up with him eventually. I moved closer to work, which was about an hour less driving every day, which was great.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, and then really got into having my own little routine. Um, moved, closer to work, and
Mhm.
then was getting into the self-development stuff slowly.
Yeah.
Um,
Just real process of getting to know yourself, who
yeah,
you.
really just doing that and finding out what I enjoy doing and all of that
Mm.
stuff. And then lockdown hit.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was a big difference again, being, obviously I was by myself anyway, but I had lots of friends about an hour away, so I was going to see them a lot. My family was about 5 hours away,
Mm.
because I was living in Bavaria, and I'm from the western part of Germany.
Mm.
And yeah, of course, when lockdown hit, I wasn't able to do any of that, so I wasn't allowed to go anywhere. So I suddenly felt really lonely,
Mhm.
um, and then really was like debating what am I going to do, because I was lucky that I didn't have to stop working completely, but I was down to half part-time.
Yeah.
um One of the reasons was that I was the only employee in our firm anyway, so I was the only one who was there, and the bosses were stuck in Sweden in their holiday home, because the
Oh.
borders were closed. So I
Yeah.
was literally alone,
Wow.
at home and at work. And yeah, I was thankfully living by the woods, so I was just walking every single day,
Mhm.
hours and hours. I was walking. Started with small rounds, and then just extended the walks a little bit further every day, and I just walked for hours
Mhm.
um during that time. And then was in a long distance relationship again,
Mm.
with someone from Wales. And I was like, and I was quite new, and when lockdown hit, we were quite new, and I was like, what am I going to do? Because I didn't like being in a long distance relationship, because it's just not really real.
Mhm.
And I just wanted to figure out if it works or not. And I was like, I might as well just go to Wales for a year and see if we work. And if
Mhm.
we don't, then that's cool. But then at least I'm not doing long distance for the sake of it.
Yeah.
Um, and that's when I decided to go to Wales for a year. That's why it was
Yeah.
Wales. I think if it hadn't been Wales, I would have done something different, I think, because I was lonely. I was not really excited about the work that I was doing anymore. So I just decided to go somewhere. And if I hadn't been Wales, I think I would have gone somewhere
Mm.
else.
Yeah. You mentioned in your email to me that you were always a people pleaser and having no boundaries or no, never putting yourself first. And
Yeah.
And then you ended up living a life that wasn't really yours. So I think many women can also quite relate to that. So how did you
Mm.
become that person, and when did your awareness really shift to break that pattern?
I think I, I well, I am a very empathetic person in general,
Mhm.
and there's nothing wrong with that. It's when I think I've just naturally done that all my life. I like looking after people. I love making people happy, which obviously is a great thing, and
Mhm.
as long as you don't take it too far. And I think that combined with always being with someone just
Mhm.
made me naturally give a lot to the other person, whoever I was with. Um, and I think that's just why I ended up not really looking after myself, because it's easier for me to look after other people and
Mhm.
to, make sure that they're happy. So it comes quite natural to me to put myself
Mhm.
second. And it was in the skin clinic when I realized, actually, I've done that all my life. I need to change something, otherwise I can't set boundaries because I don't know what I need. So how am I going to set a boundary when I don't know where it is or what it has
Mhm.
to be
Yeah.
like? So it really was in that skin clinic where I had those 6 weeks to myself to realize what I need, what doesn't work for me,
Mhm.
and what I have to do, or what boundaries I have to set to get those things that I need.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, that's when
And
it
was
was.
there also some family patterns that you had to break?
Um, do you mean in my family?
Yeah, maybe your mother was the same, or
Um,
your father.
I think we're all very good at looking after others.
Mhm.
So I think it's, yeah, um, just quite common, I'd
Mhm.
say. We're all very empathetic, and kind of lose ourselves a little bit in the looking after others. So I've grown up with it, and I've taken it on, and yeah, just felt like I've never really learned how to set boundaries because
Yeah.
no one else really did it.
Mhm. Yeah. But you mentioned also that, like you said, mindfulness and connecting to nature were truly your healing for you.
Yeah, yeah.
And is it correct that you now also host retreats?
Yes, that is true. Yeah, so it was when I started going walking every single day in lockdown,
Mhm.
um, that I really, at some point it was, if I hadn't been out that day, I couldn't go to sleep. I wasn't satisfied the day hadn't been right yet.
Mhm.
I just needed to be outside, because it really was clearing my mind and just being able to stop stop focusing, stop thinking, and just go for a walk, and then just let my mind clear. And as I said, let the thoughts come naturally to me without trying to force anything.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, it was definitely then when I realized this is something that's really, really helpful and actually so accessible because it doesn't cost anything. As long as you've got somewhere where you can go for a walk, you can just get out.
Yeah.
And so that was the first time that I really realized how important it is for me. But then also, after I've moved to Wales, and we were in a yet another lockdown
Mhm.
in
Yes.
February 21. We had a really long lockdown from December 2020 and throughout whole of January and then into February. And in February, I thought I was going to go nuts because we were only allowed out an hour a day, I think. Or
Mhm.
was it that one? I can't even remember, but it was quite limited that we could spend time with other people.
Right.
Because obviously we couldn't see anyone inside any houses, or any
Mhm.
cafes were closed and everything. Um, and in the summer before that was fine because the weather was great. We were walking all the time. My friends and I were hanging out with 2 meters distance, but like outside, and it was possible. But now obviously it was February, and I went nuts because I need people to recharge. I think I'm an introvert extrovert. I don't really know how to define it, but I do
Mhm.
definitely need close friends and my favorite people to recharge. I don't really do that by myself. I
Mhm.
like spending time with myself to an extent, but I recharge the most if I'm with friends and family.
Yeah.
And I was really struggling not to do that because yeah, we were in lockdown. It was miserable outside. The weather was horrible. So yeah, couldn't really do that. And then I realized that I got really just annoyed, agitated with everything, you know. And I was an au pair at this point, so I was looking after, I was like a live-in nanny, so I was living with a family with 3 kids, and I was homeschooling 2 of the kids, and there was a 2-year-old running around the house at the same time as well.
Wow.
So you can imagine that was quite intense.
Yeah.
I love the family. I'm still in contact with them. I'm only 10 minutes down the road from them now. They are like my Welsh family. But that was a lot.
Yeah.
And I was like, I need to do something for myself. I can't, because I hated waking up, going downstairs, and I'm in work. I was like, I need some time to myself, and I need to do something else. So I decided to get out of the house in the morning and go to the seafront and jump in the sea because why not?
Yeah, it's there, it's free.
Exactly, and it's only 10 minutes down the road from where I was, or where I am. I've always loved the sea. I grew up pretty much landlocked. We have a bit of North Sea in Germany, but that's like 6 hours away. I grew up landlocked. But we spent a lot of time in Spain when I was a kid because my grandpa was living there, or lives there. So I've always had a thing for the sea. And now obviously I was living by the sea, and I was like, let's just do something crazy. Let's just go in the sea, do something for myself, to get some energy back. Because I really just wanted to do something that made me happy in the morning, and then I could go back into work. And yeah, the first time I went into the sea, I think I was only in for 30 seconds or something. It was so cold. It was like, it was February in Britain, you can imagine. It was like -2 degrees. It was rainy. It was so choppy as well, the sea. But I got in, and I was absolutely buzzing. I was proper jumping up and down afterwards. Not just because it was cold, but also because I felt so energized. I had so much energy, and I just felt amazing. And that's when that's when I reminded myself of, I need to go into nature. That's what I've done throughout the whole first lockdown. So I started making that a habit again. So I started going down to the seafront every single morning to go in the sea. And it's just reminded me of how much nature can help, just to reset my brain for a second again, because when I'm in that cold water, there's no way you can't be in the moment, because it's so cold, and your brain goes, this is what we're doing now. This needs all of your attention, because it kind of goes into survival mode because it's so cold. But that's why I got all the focus back, and I was like, this is amazing. I need to do that. So I've been doing that for 2.5 years now, every single day if I'm here. And I've not stopped doing it because I just feel amazing afterwards. And after I finished my au pair job, I then realized I want to make that my job somehow. I want to do something that I love, and I want to help people to overcome whatever they're struggling with, like I did. And that's when I started thinking about how I can make it work. And I did come to my retreats, and that's how I do it. So I basically take people out into nature a whole day. We're going hiking in the Brecon Beacons, and we go into a lake for a cold water dip. So I coach people in, I tell them how to breathe and how to get in. And we're just away, and I do mindfulness exercises while we're in the mountains. So we do little meditations with amazing views. And so it's just the most important thing for me is that I give people a day where they do not have to think, because they don't have to be in charge, because I am. I've got a mountain leader with me as well, who looks after us, who knows that we're going the right way, who keeps an eye on the weather and all of that stuff. And I'm then just there to look after the people. Even lunch is provided, so they don't even have to bring a packed lunch. My big thing now is to give people a real break, because we don't get enough breaks. That's kind of what I struggled with before, because I never took a break. I never said, okay, let's stop and think about what I really need for a second. And that's why I struggle so much. That's why I never learned to set boundaries. That's why I didn't know what I needed, because I've just never thought about it. So I was like, if I can give people a day where they don't have to be in charge of the food, they don't have to pack any kids' lunch packs for tomorrow, they don't have to look after anyone, if I can give, or if I can facilitate a day for people where they just don't have to do anything except for walking, being in nature and enjoying the view, then they will naturally become more aware of what they need. And that's what I do now.
They get a chance to like refocus on themselves.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because we always give all our attention to something, something from the to-do list or the kids or job,
Yeah.
you know, all of that stuff. And we don't ever actually stop and say, what do I need today?
Yeah.
So,
We're
yeah, I think,
constantly bombarded by just our surroundings and
yeah,
the media and just everything. We're constantly just overstimulated. So when you get a
absolutely.
chance to step out of that oversensitive and stimulated world and recenter, then the focus is back on you. That must be such a relief for so many people.
Yeah, yeah. And I know that I know what kind of relief it is because it's done the exact same thing for me. So I'm basically just giving people what I figured out for myself back in lockdown.
Yeah, well, and that's perfect, right? Because you can always give the most from your own experience, I think.
That's it. Yeah, because I know exactly what people who come on my retreats are going through. I know exactly what it feels like to be constantly busy, always looking after someone else and all of that stuff. So I can really relate to that and I know what people need in that scenario.
Yeah, and to me, it's always still quite surprising and also fascinating that how stress can have an impact on our lives and also how it manifests itself. Because, like you said, with your extreme eczema,
Mm, yeah.
at first you wouldn't realize that that is stress related. You think, oh, I have a skin problem.
Mm,
And
yeah.
yeah, to me, that's always quite fascinating. So yeah, I
Yeah.
would love to know like how did you link those two eventually?
So first off, everyone's got their own version of that. Obviously, if people go, "Oh,
Yeah,
I don't have an eczema problem," yeah, you don't.
yeah,
Lucky you, but then your body will manifest that in another way. Some people get
yeah,
migraines, back pain, you know, anything
yeah.
like bowel
Stomach
problems.
issues. Yeah,
Exactly, whatever it is.
yeah,
So every body's got their own version of, okay,
mm,
this is too much. I'm gonna send a signal and let you know something's wrong. You need to step down a little bit.
yeah,
That's why people burn out, right? Because we're too stressed. Our bodies go, no, 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 can't do this, breakdown.
yeah,
So that we are then forced to take a break. So our bodies are literally just making us take a break because we've not listened for a while.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
When you don't listen to the whispers, your body will shout.
That's it, 100%. And I think that's what it did to me, or for me. I don't want to say
Mm,
to me because did it for me. Um, yeah, when it got that bad.
mm,
Because I had at this point I was 24. I had been living 24 years. You know, and I've been doing a job at that point. I think for 6 years that was all right. But it just didn't fulfill me. And I always thought my whole life I was like, life is a little bit boring, but that's okay. You know, not everyone gets all those exciting stories. Like I always thought people with those exciting stories of their lives are like, that's just for some special people. That's not for me, and that's fine. And I was like,
mm.
a little bit sad, actually.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and I think I realized that my eczema was linked to stress in the clinic because, yeah, suddenly I had no one to look after, no job to do, and all of that stuff. And then I slowly got into the mindfulness exercises, and I was like, oh, I feel so much more relaxed, and look at my skin is getting better. So,
Mm,
yeah, I really realized that of course there's always physical things going on. If you've got a lack of nutrients, you will get headaches or whatever, you know. But then they were filled up, and the skin, you know, is still there. So,
mhm.
um, yeah, stress is the I mean, it's logical actually because stress, your body has to deal, your immune system deals with the stress, and if you've just got too much stress going on, your immune system is overwhelmed, and then it can't look after the rest of the body. So it
Yeah.
does make total sense, but it's not the first thing that we think of
Mhm.
when our skin breaks out or we get back pain or something like that.
Yeah, yeah. It's usually because our mind and body aren't really connected anymore, so we don't
Exactly.
literally don't make that connection.
Yeah.
Mhm.
100%. And that's what I'm trying to get people to again to connect with both of them,
Yeah,
mind and body, because yeah, that's exactly why I decided, oh, what I realized when I went walking so much, and I was like, my body, obviously, my body's moving. I'm working with my body, and as a direct result, I felt how much better my mood was, and yeah, just my resilience, like mental resilience to stress as well, got much better because I was doing so much. And I think without all that walking, I could not have, I don't know how I would have done the stress of being literally locked away in lockdown by myself. So it definitely was, yeah, at that point where I realized, okay, this is definitely got to do with each other.
Yeah, that's why I love the quote, like depression hates a moving target.
100%. Yeah, definitely. And it's really underrated how much just a walk a day, even if it's 20 minutes for the beginning, that can do so much for you. And it's a little bit underrated because people go to the GP will not say go walking for a bit. The GP gives you a pill and another pill, and people take that and think, yeah, okay, that's fine now. But actually what we want to do is give our body the possibility of dealing with it itself. Obviously, I'm not saying don't take antidepressants if you're on it and it works for you, that's great. But a walk and physical exercise can really support whatever this medicine does for you,
Yeah, and unfortunately, we still live in a society where there's a lot more focus on the mental and working hard, on on achieving things instead of being in balance, reconnecting your mind to your body. And that would create such a better work situation. And I think it would be a lot more productive even.
I agree, yeah, because if you give yourself the break, or your body and your mind especially, the time to recharge, by the time you go back to work, you're so much more productive because you've actually had a little bit of break, and your mind could slow down for a little bit, and then you can go back to it with a fresh mind. It's the same with a lot of companies are introducing 4-day weeks, or 6-hour days, or whatever, something like that, and they actually realize that it's just as productive and it works.
Oh, yeah, sometimes even more productive.
Yeah, exactly. We're slowly getting there, slowly.
Slowly but surely.
Exactly.
Yeah. And what would you advise someone who's at the start of their healing journey, besides obvious, listening to your body?
I would say don't put any pressure on it. Let your body be in the healing process, and don't overwhelm yourself with you have to change a lot of things. Start small. Go for a 20-minute walk every day. If you can, leave your phone at home when you do that, because otherwise we're just distracted in a different way. Yeah, just spend some time outside, move your body, and start with that. And look into mindfulness exercises, whatever that can be. Even mindful walking is great. As I said, leave your phone at home, and then before you walk, choose one of your senses that you're gonna pay attention to on that walk. So it could be hearing. So everything you can hear, really focus on that. Or I like to do feeling, because I don't really do that a lot in my everyday life in general. So when I go for a walk, I'll say, okay, I'll really concentrate on how everything feels today, on that walk, on those 20 minutes. And it's crazy what you suddenly pay attention to. Like the other day, I walked from a concrete pavement onto a path with gravel, and it felt so different. And when we're just walking, we don't pay attention to that. So yeah, start small, maybe do a little mindful walk, and choose one of your senses and just see what comes up for the next 20 minutes.
Yeah, and don't let it overwhelm you, because I know healing can be quite overwhelming. So like you said, start small.
It is, and things will come up, and let that be okay, because I've now gotten to the point where when my eczema breaks out, I'm like, okay, thanks for getting rid of stuff that you don't need, body. Thanks for telling me. Thanks for doing what you need to do to heal. And yeah, if things come up, even on walks, if you need to cry, just do that.
Yeah.
Cry, because it's a release, and your body's getting rid of things that you don't want to carry around with you.
Well, my last question is always the same as well, and I think I can guess the answer, but when are you at your happiest?
I'm at my happiest when I'm either in the sea or in the mountains, preferably with friends, my boyfriend, or family, because I love being with people and I love being in nature.
Yeah. Oh, lovely. Well, thank you so much, Lene, for today. It was a joy talking to you.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.